What's up, everybody? It's your boy JT Brickspeed, and today we're going to be talking about Fisker Inc. Fisker is an American electric vehicle automaker founded by Henrik Fisker and his wife Jetta Fisker. Launched in 2016 and based in Southern California. Fisker Inc. might be new to the EV space, but Henrik Fisker is not. He's worked with companies such as BMW and Aston Martin, and he's designed some of the most stunning cars to date. So Fisker has an earning call coming up in a couple days, and I just wanted to go through some of the Q&A questions and see how best I could relate to some of the other investors. What's their views, what's their concerns, and what's going on in the market, and where the Fisker stock and the Fisker company relates. I just want to do a quick disclaimer. I am in no way related to Fisker Inc. or do I own any of the underlying stocks or options. I will sometime in the future though. I also neither own a reservation for the Fisker Ocean or the Fisker Pear. Okay, so first question, I'm just going to answer most of these questions, being that I'm someone in the technology industry, not professionally, but I would say that I'm a technologist or a technology enthusiast. So none of this is technical analysis by any stretch. First question, do you plan on partnering with any existing charging station providers to expand electric vehicle charging infrastructure? I wouldn't say I see that in Fisker's future, at least for right now, because with these supply chain constraints, I wouldn't see how Fisker would expand any more of their revenue into infrastructure charging. I think that they would probably either just partner up with someone or just leave it to their customers to figure it out. Kind of sounds a way letting your customers figure it out, seeing that this vehicle would be their first entry into the EV space. But I just don't see how Fisker could stretch their revenue into building a charging infrastructure rather than to partner up with other companies. If any, I would more likely like to see them with someone that's actually trying to make better, because ChargePoint and what is it? I think Greenpoint or something like that along the lines. I'll throw out the right name of the company right here. They're pretty bad right now. So hopefully by the time that this vehicle is out and ready and gearing, that they'll have their stuff together, because it would be trash if Fisker partners up with a company that really doesn't have their stuff together. Like with the Mustang Mach-E, like that car is pretty much riding on the charging infrastructure, and the charging infrastructure that Ford is partnered up with really is not good. So that's kind of breaking the sales with the car, which pretty much makes it a deal breaker for me. Is there a way that you could equip shareholders to enable us amplify in our respective communities that Fisker cars as reliable technology, advanced, and avenue to experience clean luxury at affordable buy? I'm not really sure as to this question really entails. I think that is asking like, what's the entry point going to be? So it would be like the Hyundai Santa Fe, like a budget luxury vehicle when you get in there at a certain price point. So I do think that it's luxury at a certain price point, but affordability really is tied in the hands of each their own, I would say. When do you expect reservations for the Pear to open? Well, that's quite funny, because the time of reviewing this Fisker Pear actually opening either today or yesterday is when they open up for reservations in the app and on the website. I'm not sure as to whether or not I'm going to be putting in a reservation for the Fisker Pear, given that there aren't any renders, and I don't think that there are going to be any renders until 2023, since Henrik said that they're going to be very tight-lipped about the design, in that he said that it's going to be really out there and it's going to be new, very cutting edge and everything. So it's going to be released, I think he said, in 2024. So I wouldn't hold on to a product reveal until 2023. What's Magna's maximum annual capacity for Ocean? How fast can they scale if Fisker Ocean sales ramp up much faster than you predicted? How does the third-party service company scale to meet Fisker sales? If I'm being realistic, I would think that it would be relatively easy for Magna Steyr to ramp up production, given that Fisker isn't the only company that they have in-house that they're working with. They're working with companies like BMW, working with companies like Mercedes, working with companies like Toyota for the Toyota Supra. Yeah, I would definitely say it's about maximizing the resources that they have and allocating them to where they need it. If anyone that I think could successfully launch these vehicles in terms of manufacturing, it would be Magna Steyr. Company mentioned before that the ocean rollout needs $1 billion. How much capital does Pear need for its massive production? Seeing that the Pear is going to be developed and manufactured in America with Foxconn, I would say that they would probably need double, if not triple, the revenue that they would have needed for the ocean. So I would say that all of the money that they would make in terms of profit margin on the ocean would go into the Fisker Pear. Once they clear like all of their operational overheads and stuff, I would say that most of their margin would go towards that, towards their lower end entry vehicle. I would say anywhere between 2 to 3 billion, if not 3.5 billion. You've mentioned that Magna has the ability to scale up to 7,500 units a month. At what point in 2023 will Magna be able to ramp up to this production rate? With the supply chain constraints and raw material and chip supply constraints, I would say that whenever they get over it, because you have to understand that Magna isn't only dealing with Fisker, they're dealing with other brands. Not that the other brands really has anything to do with Fisker, but everyone is hurting from the same problem, the same raw metal supply issues, and the same when it comes to silicon. So hopefully by 2023, this will just be a speck in history and we won't have to worry about it. But realistically, I would say about summer, if not fall of 2023. That's when I would see them getting out most of their reservations. When can we expect to see the Fisker Experience Center begin to open to the public? That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. I've seen them posting it up. I think it's somewhere in California, but I hope that they open one in New York City too, so I could go in and see that open to the public. Is this only open to the reservation holders? I'm not really exactly sure. Whenever I can get an actual look on a Fisker Ocean, I would be pretty stoked. Will the board consider share repurchase? That's a really interesting question. That's a really interesting question. So for those of you that do not know, a share repurchase is when the underlying company goes back and buys its underlying stock back from either its retail investors or the institutional investors also. So the stock buyback is in a way of returning cash to investors, which is also an alternative to a dividend payout. So that's one way that Fisker could avoid paying us out dividends, which is in turn of a stock repurchase. This, I don't know exactly when this would happen because with all the shipping supply constraints and raw metal constraints going on, I really don't see how Fisker's margins could offset returns to the investors. At least right now. At least right now. I'm not saying that I don't see Fisker at all being profitable in the future. I just don't see them being profitable in the next year to 2 years. Maybe once the reservations are streamlined and they start coming out faster. But unless those vehicles really start hitting like hotcakes, turning out the oven, I don't see how we could get a stock buyback or even better dividend payouts. So I would just say wait and see what Fisker does to their balance sheets and see how good their profit margins are in the next couple quarters. So let's see, we still have the year just started, so we have about 3 more quarters. So I would say about eight more quarters. I haven't invested yet. Throughout the year, I will be dollar cost averaging into the stock, but as of yet, I'm not. And don't take any of my advice. This is just what I'm saying. I'm pretty much new to this space, so don't take any of my advice. When will advertising start? This is a really good question. I've seen advertisements for Lucid. I've seen Lucid started advertising last year with the Elon Musk SNL special, and then I think that Rivian also did one for the Super Bowl, if I'm correct. I think that Fisker definitely needs to ramp up their advertising department. They're killing it on Instagram, but it's not exactly where it is. I think that people want to see more videos, more cinematic type stuff when it comes to the body and the interior. So even if it's just on YouTube, just like hype up and get more reservations, I think that's what they should do. But maybe the revenue and the cash flow just isn't there for it right now. So I think that they're pretty much just hyping up on Instagram, getting it through word of mouth. And then once they actually start putting out vehicles, I think maybe with the Fisker ones, the Fisker Ocean ones, then maybe they'll start doing advertising. For now, it's just a waiting game. What is Fisker's 5-year projection look like for vehicle production and manufacturing infrastructure? Also, what types of issues, if any, deal with chip shortages? Well, I think that they're definitely having some. I can't wait to see what Henrik says about the chip shortage. He did say that they are ahead of their timeline for November, so they probably would start shipping out a little bit, a couple cars before November. So I would say maybe around the time in summer, I would say. But those are the Fisker ones. Those aren't the, it would be the Ultra and the Extreme models that will be coming out first in November. and then working its way down to the ocean, as Henrik has said in the past. So they're gonna be working on all of the higher trims and then keeping that revenue and then putting it down in the pipeline for all the other projects. All the cars that he said that would be launching earlier, I think that he's talking about the Fisker Ocean ones, and all those have been spoken for. I think there's about 1,000 of them. I think that those are going to be the ones that are launched in the summer, and then going on the pipeline in November is going to be the Fisker Extreme, and then moving into next year, I think that sometime in the first quarter, then we start seeing the Ultra, and then down in summer or towards fall, then we start seeing some of the Oceans come out. Ocean Sports is what I meant. If Apple was going to buy an EV maker, what would your rank be on the list and why? To be honest, I like Fisker a lot, but I don't see Fisker ranking on the list anywhere because Fisker is pretty much about hype right now. Because I just don't see it. Like you actually have Rivian that's putting out vehicles. The only other one that I'm keeping track of is Canoe and Xpeng and Neo. I think I would say that Neo has a little bit of an edge with Fisker, so I think that Neo would be a higher tier. And then Xpeng, not really aware of Xpeng, but they already do some of their manufacturing over in Asia. So if they were going to launch a car, then why not manufacture it in Asia also? So I would see that Neo or Xpeng would end up taking the head of Fisker when it comes to a corporate buyout. And then Amazon already has their hands in Rivian's pot. So I don't really see how they could also go in and get any revenue from Rivian, seeing that Amazon already owns such a big share. Has Apple approached Fisker to help build this Apple car? If the rumors are true, I would say that's very interesting. That would drastically shoot up our stock price if that was actually true. If Apple acquired any of our stock or a large portion of our stocks. An Apple partnership along with Fisker, a newcomer to the industry, is unbelievable if you really think about it. Like Apple, the leader in the space when it comes to technology, computers, and then Fisker, the newcomer, pretty much the underdog in this space. The two of them teaming up just sounds like something that I'd like to see, but still sounds pretty unbelievable. I think about it. Will the Ocean have self-driving capabilities? I think that it depends on what trim level that you get, because when I look, I see that the Ultra trim has pretty much everything that you would need for any self-driving capabilities. I think that it comes stock with the radars that Henrik was talking about, that it will have the radars that are class leading in this segment when it comes to tracking. So I would go along the lines to say that they are gonna save that for their R-end vehicles. I'm not really sure if it's gonna translate to the Ultra, but it does say that the Fisker Ocean Extreme is going to have the lane change assist and the lane keep assist when it comes to the tracking of the vehicle, when it comes to the monitoring of the speed and the monitoring of its surroundings. But I don't think that it's gonna transfer to the base level Ocean Sport, in that it only has the basic stuff when it comes to the driving. Yeah, I know that I'm reading it. I'm kind of disappointed that the Ultra doesn't have the lane change assist, in that to justify it not having it being at $50,000, and the Extreme having it. The Extreme does have a couple more features. I would have hoped that they would have squeezed that in. So maybe they will when the final vehicles come out. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. But I don't think that self-driving is going to be making it to the lower trims. I think that it's going to be reserved for the Extreme, being that it could be a reason for them to justify the higher price. But I really wouldn't go that high, seeing that this is a first to market vehicle. And who knows, they might have some issues, they might not, but dropping almost $70,000 on a newcomer to the industry, I'm not really sure. You kind of have to have a lot of faith in the company, and I do have a lot of faith in the company, but I don't think that I'll be registering the Ocean Extreme just for that self-driving ability, and we still haven't been proven as to what these capabilities are. He did say that the radars that they're going to be using in the Ocean are class leading, and it should be a game changer. So we'll just have to wait and see, whatever that means. Fisker cars are new to the market, and company still has to prove a lot in terms of customer initial feedback and mandatory services. What's your plan to serve number of service requests or initial complaints? Do you think your backend infrastructure is capable to handle maintenance? Honestly, we have yet to see any information when it comes to how Fisker plans to maintain these vehicles. I don't know if they're going to be like depot stations or anything when it comes to the maintenance locations, but one thing that I could bet for sure is that it's going to be started in major cities like New York City, California for sure, and maybe some place in Texas, maybe Austin or Dallas or one of those locations. And then maybe after they would slowly start spreading to outward branches and outward places. Also, I think maybe Jersey. I know Jersey is right across the pond, but I think that it would be a safe bet to say, okay, also Jersey, because Jersey tends to stay outside of certain stipulations when it comes to New York City. So I wonder if they're going to do that thing that Tesla did when they first started rolling out their vehicles, is that they'll send a mechanic to you to either service your vehicle or check out any major structural or integral problems that are going on with your vehicle. Seeing that I do live in upstate New York, if I did have one of these vehicles, I would have to drive about maybe 350 miles to the city just to get it serviced. And I think that you do your service like every 2 3 months. So I do go to the city every now and then, but just to do that, just to do service is pretty intensive, especially for someone that gets this vehicle and is miles away. I'm talking like thousands of miles away from any of these stations or depots that they could be maintained at. When will the pair be revealed? So I think I already talked about this. I don't think that it's going to be revealed until sometime in 2023. So you're going to be waiting. If you want to put in a reservation for it, you can. Reservations are open right now, $250 per reservation. I'm not really sure if you can also reserve a Ocean too. They said that when you reserve two vehicles, you get the second one for $150, but I'm not sure if it has to be both the same models or if you can just reserve whichever one and then the second one is 150. I've yet to see, but I think that I will reserve a pair just to be in line for whenever it comes out, just in case I want to change my mind from the Ocean, just to have that in line. But I don't think that if I put in a reservation right now, I don't think that I would realistically get an Ocean until maybe like the end of 2023 or going into 2024. So realistically, along that lines, I would still have a good shot at the pair. Your contract for building cars makes sense as a startup, and why I chose this stock among other reasons. As the risk has been substantially de-risked. These contracts, however, are not forever. At what point in time do you see the need to build your own means of production? Yeah, I think that's a pretty good question because even Tesla is building a couple gigafactories and then I'll have their gigapress, which is gonna streamline the way that they build their cars when it comes to the pressing of their aluminum unibody. So they're gonna be spitting out those pretty fast, and all their money and all their margins just stay in-house. But I'm not really sure as to how Fisker could do this. I don't think that Fisker or even has enough capital to really do an in-house production scale. If you look at it, Tesla's had their overinflated share price to offset their capital. So all of that revenue they've been able to turn over and offset that into their supply chain. So they've had years, if not a decade at this point, to really streamline how they're producing their vehicles. And this is going to be Fisker's first year to actually get the road started when it comes to their rolling out of the vehicles. So I don't really see it in Fisker's future, any in-house production as of right now. I think maybe like, I would say like 7 to 10 years might be a stretch, but I would say around then, if they pretty much meet all the goals that they're trying to make. What contracts do you have currently working with the governments and other companies to use Fisker in the future? If not, why don't you try to get contracts with different companies? Also, when can we expect Fisker to be in South America and other countries? Thank you. God bless. I do think that since the manufacturing plant is going to be in Austria, I think that it's going to be relatively easy to start exporting to European markets whenever they get done with the American reservations. I'm not really sure as to if the reservations are going well in parts of Europe like Germany, but I know that a big part of the reservations are in America. So I think that they would mostly get those done and then start revving up production for the European market. And then after the European market, they would go to South America. Can you explain the level of strategic partnership with Foxconn and global expansion plan after US rollout? I think that I'm not really sure as to the actual strategics that go into the partnership, but Foxconn is a big manufacturer when it comes to computer parts and semiconductors. So I think that them partnering up definitely puts them in the line when it comes to the supply constraints being over with chip shortage and the raw metal shortage. So whenever the chip shortage is over, I definitely think that they're going to be at the front of the line for whenever the vehicles start rolling out. They're just going to be spitting them out one by one when it comes to their partnership with Foxconn. I do think that after the pair, they do have another vehicle. I don't know if it's something cheaper, seeing that the pair is rumored to be around $29,000 to $20,000 in price. So I don't know if the next car that they have in line is the hyper car or an even cheaper vehicle. I don't know what the profit margins on something like that could be if it comes in cheaper than the pair, but I don't think that they're gonna go hyper, seeing that they already have the Fisker Extreme. So I don't think that they're gonna go that way. I think that they definitely want to go into a segment that no one else has been able to break into currently they haven't been able to break into it. I know that Hyundai is trying pretty hard and Tesla has wanted to break into that segment, but they're having a lot of supply constraints, like the Tesla Cybertruck that's pretty much on hiatus right now, and the Roadster that's definitely on hiatus right now. So all of the revenue that they were going to get from those vehicles to put into the lower budget offerings is pretty much a no-go. So I don't know when that's going to be happening. So if Fisker could use the time to actually roll out a cheaper vehicle before Tesla does it, I think that they'll definitely be in the lead when it comes to the leading EV company in this space. Can you tell us a little about your upbringing, how you started now our Fisker? What obstacles did you go through to achieve success you've obtained? What made you remain humble unlike Elon Musk? That's funny. Would you actually help world hunger and not just do a PR stunt to justify selling shares? That's pretty interesting. I don't think that Elon Musk was stunting. I think that he really would do it, but seeing how crazy he is and seeing the wild roller coaster that we've been riding when it comes to his underlying investments in Doge and Shiba, pretty crazy, pretty crazy. I wouldn't hold anything against him, but I do think that Henrik, given the opportunity, not as the scale of what Elon said he was going to sell to stop world hunger, but I think that they would have some kind of benefit outreach when it comes to that. They did that big beach cleanup, so I don't think that Henrik would say no to it. Yeah, he was actually born in Denmark, and I think he moved over to either somewhere in Europe or America sometime after that. If I'm not correct, you guys can Google it. And then he worked with companies like BMW and Aston Martin, working on I think it's the DB9 and the BMW D3. BMW Z8 is the Z8. Some of his obstacles, well, one of his biggest obstacles or biggest failure, you could say, is that his company, the last company that he had, went under and he had to sell out or leave the company. So you could pretty much say that he was pushed out, or seeing that the way that the company was failing or the way that it was being run, that he didn't like it anymore, and seeing that there was a lot of room in the EV space to improve, and seeing how he wanted to show people that things can be done differently. I guess that's currently where he's at right now. What else he wants to achieve? I'm not sure. Let's see if he actually answers this question. Are there plans to make the popular solar roof a purchasable option for all models? Well, that would be pretty good, because right now the solar roof only comes with the Fisker Ocean Extreme. So you're gonna pay $68,000. Well, call it 69. $68,999 for a solar roof that only gives you, I think, is it 30 miles of range a year? So, and that's under good conditions. So I don't even think that you're gonna get, like, you're gonna see really a difference. It's just gonna be like something that you just say, oh, it gives you like 30 extra miles a year. But that's only unless you live like in ideal conditions, like in a desert, like in Arizona or in California. I would like it, but it lessens the price. I would love to see what would be the price of that type of option. They would do this as a purchasable option, seeing that I think that they would want to streamline their production line and just be like, okay, you get a Ocean Extreme, you get a Ocean Ultra, you get a Ocean Sport, and then they just have to worry about colors, interior. But having to retrofit specific configurations to each model, I think, really dampers as to how much they could really accelerate the manufacturing of the specific models. So I think that they would probably do it, but just not now in this pipeline. I think maybe like a year or two after they really start getting out the reservations. I think maybe closer to the end of 2023, I think that they would start making this happen. Maybe when they don't have a high volume of reservations. When the products will come out to streets? Well, that Fisker Ocean gonna be on that street in November of 2022. That's when it's slated to launch. Well, at least the first couple vehicles. Will the Ocean come with any type of factory warranty if purchased outright and not via the lease option? Not backing the product will be a bad look. I think that in terms of the American automotive um, regulations industry, I think it definitely has to come with some type of warranty, whether it's a limited warranty or some type of full warranty if you have to buy it out. But I don't know if they could findangly seeing that it's a piece of, they could say that it's a piece of technology and give you like a limited warranty, but seeing that it's something that's going to actually be on the road, I think that it definitely has to fall under some type of regulation where it comes to the protection of the consumers. So I don't think that they could get away with not giving you any type of warranty. I definitely think that it will. It will come with a factory warranty. Maybe something for the batteries and something for the motors. Any type of wear and tear like interior, I don't think that that will happen. Maybe a limited warranty when it comes to the interior, when it comes to like defects and stuff like that. But I think that most of the attention when it comes to the warranty is going to be on the motors, and the batteries is the biggest fault when it comes to these electric vehicles, the batteries. I think that the battery, if they can do a really good warranty, like a 10-year warranty, or even something that just completely blows our companies out of the water, maybe a 15-year warranty will be pretty great. Are you guys going to directly deliver the cars to consumers, or there will be a third party dealer that will have to go through? I don't think that there's going to be a third party, seeing that they want to streamline their profit margins. I think that it's going to be directly to consumers as to if they're going to use a specific shipping company or trailer company. I do not know. That is still yet to be decided or still yet to be made public. Definitely won't go through dealers, because then they're gonna have the markups and stuff, and I don't think that Fisker really wants to deal with that. They're taking Tesla's route and going direct to consumer. Is the Ocean's profit margin still expected to be at the levels expected from the original investor presentation material after factoring the inflation numbers? Well, seeing that they've already put out the pricing, I don't know if they already allocated the inflation when it comes to the pricing, or maybe they'll have to mark it up a little when it comes to the actual shipping out time. I actually want Henrik to answer this, or even someone that works for Fisker. This is an actual pretty good question. I think that they'll probably take the bullet on the first couple rounds of reservations, and then going into probably 2023, they'll probably start marking it up a little bit to offset losses that they had in 2022 or earlier in 2023. How do you see Fisker 4 years from now, and how confident are you that you will dominate the EV? I don't think that Fisker is really gonna dominate the EV space. That's a pretty ambitious thing to even start or to even undertake. I think that the EV space is pretty big and there's a lot of space to share. A lot of companies are trying to get in now, and a lot of them are fear that they will either be pushed out in the realm of being fossil fuel mongers, rather than to, okay, say we want to come into this space and we also want to innovate. A lot of companies are really innovating, and I think that these next couple of years are going to be really interesting, seeing what comes out from companies like Hyundai and Toyota. Toyota has a lot of EV cars launching in the future, but Fisker, I would hope that they're profitable going into 4 years, because 4 years from now is when they want to launch the pair. So they would definitely have to be profitable for the next 2 years to 3 years if they're gonna be launching the pair with any type of capital that they've offsetted from either the share price or revenue that's coming from the Ocean. Does Fisker have enough cash on hand to last into SPO? If I'm correct, I think that SPO meets standard operating procedure. If not, then how do you plan on raising more? Offering, debt, reselling credits? That's a pretty good question. That's a pretty good question, because the market's down right now, and I don't think that they're gonna have a good year this year. So raising capital, they've yet to produce any vehicle, so I don't see how they would have any credits. So maybe they would have to go into debt with the government to pre-sell the credits, but then they would have to also make sure that they do put out the amount of vehicles that are on the contract for the credits. So it just seems like a lot will be placed on them when it comes to managing. But I do think that it would be in terms of taking on some sort of debt, whether it be from institutional investing or even when it comes to investments from a capital venture fund. Or even just like someone asked before, they could offset some of their stocks to a big company like Apple to help raise capital. Is Fisker going to be released in how many countries for this year? So I know that the grammar was pretty bad, but what you have to understand is that these questions are being sent around from all over the world, and a lot of people, they don't speak English that good, and they know that these questions are going to be asked in English. So bear with them. I don't think that we're gonna have a lot of international adoption. We're gonna have 2 months of production whenever we start producing in November. So that's not gonna be a long time. So I would say that look forward to 2023 or 2024 for actual vehicles going out internationally to other markets such as South America, Latin America. I definitely think that 2023 is gonna be for Europe and America. I don't know about China or Russia. What are your latest expected margins for each trim based on the current prices in supplies? Are you still expecting $2,000 in profit for the sport model per early investor presentation? Unless they can get a handle on inflation, which I don't really think that's gonna happen anytime soon this year. I don't really think that if they do still have the same expectations, they're gonna take a loss. They're definitely gonna take a loss. And if Henrik goes into this conference and says that we're gonna take a loss with the first round of vehicles, it's gonna be a big L for the investors. But I don't really think that anybody that's here is gonna ride through the storm with Fisker for the next year or two. But unless they really have a lot of capital to offset what's going on right now with the shortage and inflation, I just don't see how they're going to be profitable with these first few vehicles. Oh, and the question that you're asking about the sport, I just realized that you asked about the sport. So the sport is going to definitely be towards the end of the production when it comes to getting out all of the higher trim reservations done with the extreme and the ultra. So maybe by the time they get to the sport, they'll still be able to recoup some of that profit when it comes to the margins. I know each trim level of the Ocean contains certain unique features. Will it be possible to, let's say, pay extra to add a feature that's on the extreme trim on the ultra instead? For example, putting on a solar sky on an ultra model and not having to upgrade the entire trim. I think that some of these features are key selling points of that specific model, and it would be really nice to have them interchangeable. Like, as in, if the car was like a Lego, you could just add what you want. But I just don't see how they can streamline production to do that as of right now. I don't think that they'll be able to do that right now. So you're just gonna have to pony up and pay that big fee, pay that big price for the features that you actually want. So I think that the only feature that I would want in the Ultra would be the lane change assist, and then nothing else. I don't think that I would end up wanting the solar roof. I would want them to atomize some of these features and see how much they actually cost. Because if you saw how much the solar sky roof actually cost, if it was itemized, I think that a lot of us would just end up skimping it and just going with actual other stuff that we would end up using like every day in the vehicle. Do you think it would be smart to team up with Carvana? I think you're meaning in terms of vehicle delivery, seeing that they already have their own vehicle delivery network. I don't know. Seeing that it's two relatively new companies, well, Fisker being even newer, but Carvana also being new too, but having a couple years in terms of operation. Carvana's been in the news for some pretty bad customer allegations when it comes to customers not being able to obtain the titles for their vehicles. So I don't know exactly how I'd feel about Carvana and Fisker teaming up. Being that Carvana's had a lot of issues when it comes to their customers issuing their customers their titles for their vehicles. Some customers having their vehicles for even 2 3 months and not being able to drive it or register it because they don't have the right title. Some vehicles were actually even stolen, and they weren't able to get the titles because it was stolen, and that vehicle ended up having, and now that customer is out of a car and they're trying to get a refund through Carvana. And even, what's the other one called, Vroom? Yeah, even Vroom or whatever it's called is having problems with titles too. So I don't know. I think that Fisker should just get a partnership with a trucking company and do that. I don't think that Carvana would be the best route. How soon full automatic driving can be achieved? What's the current safety rating? I don't know. This is a pretty hard question. They haven't put out any information with the radar technology that they're using,
any information in terms of the AI that they're using to develop to use along lines with this radar technology. So I don't really know. I don't really know. I wish that Henry could put out some more information. I definitely want him to talk about the self-driving aspects. And but I don't think that he really wants to put out a lot of information towards that, seeing that full self-driving would be mostly for the extreme edition. But who knows, maybe I could be surprised and it could make its way to lower trims. I would be very surprised, even if it's a upcharge. Seeing all the issues that Tesla's having with their self-driving capabilities, I really don't know. I hope that instead of LiDAR changing up and being using the radars will be a big help, and they won't have to go through some of the obstacles that Tesla is facing right now. I don't know. Everybody's facing a big uphill battle when it comes to full self-driving. It's still a new realm that everybody's facing. Will there be a way to utilize the Tesla supercharger network natively, or even an adapter provided from factory? I think that they'll definitely have some type of. I think that you'll probably have to have some type of adapter, which mostly makes sense, seeing that other car manufacturers give you the adapter, or you just buy it online from, like Amazon or something. But I don't think that we're gonna have any type of partnership with Tesla to use their charging networks. If what you're saying is that the plug is gonna be a native Tesla plug that you plug into the charge port, if the charge port is gonna be a native Tesla charge port, I don't think so. I don't think that one is gonna be a go. What details can you give about the pair and its use case? Metropolitan, rural, or potentially both? They're going to be focusing on a metropolitan use case, seeing that it's going to be a car designed to fit in tight parking spots and tight roads, small roads, such as roads like, New York City, Barcelona, roads in like France, where they have a lot of small compact vehicles. I don't think it's gonna be rural, seeing that rural you're gonna need like a high body clearance or road clearance in terms of the height, and I think it's gonna be a pretty low vehicle, seeing that if they're gonna be focusing on a metropolitan area, it's gonna be kind of low, because most metropolitan streets are pretty good and pretty clean. Not factoring certain places in NYC. NYC roads can be pretty terrible. In one of his interviews, Henrik Fisker mentioned we, Fisker, are planning to make 5 cars a week starting March of 2022. Is that still the plan, or it has changed due to supply chain issues? I would think that it's still the same, because he said that they're on schedule, if not on schedule, to debut or release some of the cars early. So I would say that the Fisker Ocean ones, I think that they will be released, or at least start shipping around summer, if not early fall. And then the other cars, the Ultra and the Extreme going first, then the Ultra will be going into November of 2022. But I think that most of the ocean ones, are gonna be summer, if not early fall, that they'll be going out. But I don't think that I think that they'll pretty much be ramping up production a little bit more, a little bit more. Wait, March 2022. Maybe it will be the same. Maybe it will be the same. I think that it will definitely be the same, if not a little bit more than just 5 vehicles. Is Fisker a company that is only about making money and providing jobs for people? Well, Fisker is a publicly traded company, so most companies that are publicly traded, their number one responsibility is towards the shareholders, making sure that they have a return and that the company is profitable and that the shareholders are happy as to how the company is moving. So I don't think that Fisker is definitely focused on only making money. How the companies run and their vision, I don't know what is it, the vision statement of the company is, but from what they've done in most of their advertising on Instagram and on the internet, is that they want to be a pretty environmentally friendly company. Even when it goes into the making of the vehicle's interior, most of the stuff in the vehicle is recycled. I don't know if that's going to translate into other vehicles going down into the pipeline, seeing that I don't know how you can source things like fishing nets or large scale ramp ups when it comes to productions. But I do think that they do care about a lot of stuff, not just only making money. When will we see the first prototype of the pair? We're definitely not gonna see that anytime soon, man. You can keep your hopes up. That they're gonna be teasing that thing for like the next 2 years. I have no hopes on seeing a prototype of the pair for now. I think that they said that he said in an interview that they're pretty much done in terms of how they want the body and the interior to look. He's pretty much signed off on what he wants that to look like. So I think that they're just pretty much going down in detail and just figuring out pretty much the details of what they want certain things to look like. But we're not going to see any type of prototypes for now. Maybe we'll see a prototype sometime at the end of 2023, maybe the middle, but I definitely think the end of 2023 because they're saying that they're going to launch it sometime in 2024. But definitely no prototype this year, maybe next year, going into 2023 towards the end. I understand that Bridgestone will provide dealer support in Europe, but saw no mention about US, especially East Coast. How will these vehicles be delivered to the East Coast buyers and serviced? It's still up in the air in terms of servicing. I definitely think that there will be some type of service station on the East Coast, definitely in New York City or New Jersey. In terms of delivery, I think that they'll probably have to work with some type of trucking company, definitely, to get these vehicles out. I didn't know that Bridgestone also facilitated as a dealer, or maybe because they already have their own trucking infrastructure, they could use that to offset anything and get the vehicles out. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that that's what they were doing with Bridgestone. I thought that Bridgestone was only supplying tires. Will you start paying a dividend? Let's just see how their balance sheet. I don't know if they're gonna release their balance sheet as to how their margins are looking, but I wouldn't hold my breath to them putting out a dividend. I think that they will definitely have to be a little bit profitable, and I don't think that they're gonna be that profitable this year or even next year. Being that a dividend would mean that they would have to share some of their profits with us. So I don't know. I don't see that going over well. Is the Fisker going to have inductive charging capabilities? This is our first time I'm seeing this question. That's a pretty interesting question. Inductive charging capabilities. I've never seen them release anything that says that they're gonna have inductive charging capabilities. That's pretty interesting though. I would much rather battery swapping than inductive charging because you lose a lot of power through the air when you do inductive charging. So whatever is underneath, whatever you're trying to charge, you have to ramp up the wattage that is lost. It's called power loss or induction power loss. I don't think that it would make sense when it comes to charging. Inductive charging charges a lot slower than regular charging too, so I don't really see the sense. Where would you put an induction charger out in the real world? The only place I could see maybe that makes sense an inductive charger is at home. Maybe you just park your vehicle over the inductive charger and it charges at night. But then regular phase one charging takes level one charging takes so long at home to charge. It takes anywhere from 8 hours to 16 hours. You can times that by 2 or by 3 when it comes to inductive charging. So maybe they would have to do some type of R&D and roll out their own inductive chargers, but I don't really see how they could utilize that. I don't see how what's the benefit in utilizing inductive charging when it comes to the ocean. Will Fisker start battery swap like Neo? I think that that's in the tables for them. Their production pipes, I don't think that even if they wanted to, they could fit that in. That was Neo's whole shtick when they started the development of their company. I think that Fisker taking that would be a big underhanding for the company even start thinking about battery swapping right now. I don't think so. I think maybe in the later vehicles it could be a good idea, maybe with the pair or maybe in cheaper vehicle with the pair, seeing that okay they could offset some of the price because you don't actually own the battery, and that's where a lot of the price comes from with these EV vehicles. The battery is so expensive to manufacture and produce with all the raw materials that go into it. So I think that that's one way that they could really offset some of the price for an entry level EV. Maybe that could even justify a low price of maybe like $15,000 if they had a vehicle that had a battery swapping capabilities. But then they would also have to build the infrastructure to swap out those batteries, which is what Neo is currently doing. So I will see that once again out there in the pipeline, maybe like 10 years from now. What other tech will Fisker focus improving on? Solar, self-drive, charging, any other patents pending? I would say that the next thing that they would have to focus on is their self-driving. That's a big selling point of that specific model of the Ocean. We're so far out from having any type of demo of this technology. So I definitely say that that's what they're definitely working on now. Solar, I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to get more use out of the solar roof of the pair. So maybe they will really do a second gen solar roof on the pair, or maybe they'll just scrap that whole thing. Being that the pair is gonna come in at 29,000, I think that they'll just scrap that whole thing and not even introduce it. Most cities have high skylines, so the sun is going to be blocked out often. So I don't really see how you would use the solar roof in a metropolitan area, being that you're not going to get a lot of sun to your vehicles to really justify having that solar roof. I would say that self-driving, some type of charging infrastructure, some type of partnership or something with companies. And then I would just say scrap the solar roof. They scrap it. It's cool. It's definitely a new thing, but I don't think that it's something that's gonna stick going forward with all the other models. Being that they want to come down in price point, I don't justify the solar roof. What's your future plans for cars after you sell the Ocean? I think that they're gonna go into the Pair, as I've already said, and then I don't know if it's gonna be a lower entry model, maybe around $15,000, or they're gonna go the ultra car route and do a speedster with a roadster like car. So I don't know how that's gonna go. It will be very interesting. Maybe they would maybe need to venture out and get more capital, go the hypercar route, and then go to the $15,000 route. Seeing that going $15,000, I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of profit margin being made there. So maybe they'll have to go the hypercar route. Everyone would just have to settle with the Ocean and the Pair for now, and then wait maybe a couple years until there's a lower entry vehicle around $15,000. With Tesla, we've seen that they failed to set up an adequate service network, leading to customers experiencing waits of weeks or months to get their cars fixed. How is Fisker preparing to service its fleet and avoid gaining a bad reputation for service? That's a pretty good question. I just think that it's going to be a growing pain when it comes to the servicing of vehicles. Like if you're not in a major city, then that's pretty much it for you. Like you got to take this into account when you make a reservation for this vehicle or when you buy the vehicle. Being that if you're in a rural area, like or you're in Ohio or you're in the Midwest, definitely if you're in the Midwest, you gotta think hard about getting a vehicle like this. Or worse, if you're not in any type of metropolitan area, like somewhere in Texas, like like Austin or Dallas, or even on the East Coast when it comes to New York and New Jersey. You definitely got to take that into account. It's definitely going to be some type of growing pain. I feel like people in the Midwest are definitely going to be feeling it harder than anywhere else. And even if there's just one of these service stations in the metropolitan area, that's still pretty bad if you only have one service station for that metropolitan area. So I think that they'll probably do like two each for two metropolitan area, maybe like one north, one south, or something like that. That's what I'm hoping that they will do, not just one in New York City, maybe one in New York City and then one in Long Island, maybe one in the middle of Long Island. That would be pretty smart, strategic if you ask me. Does the company have concerns over the semiconductor production and how this will affect inventory? How will challenges be addressed? I think that we're pretty much, I wouldn't say that we're over it, but we're still in the thick of it. Something about what's going on with the semiconductor shortage. I think that what's happening is that maybe that they've already produced the vehicles and then they're just waiting for the chips. I think that's pretty much what it is. Like we're just waiting on chips. Everybody is waiting on chips. It's pretty much a party and you have salsa but no chips. Everyone's just waiting around for chips. Are there more styles, designs, gen to be revealed besides the compact SUV? I don't think that anything else is in the pipeline other than the Pair, and that's definitely not going to get revealed anytime soon. So I would say no, there are no other styles or designs that are to be unveiled. When will you be introducing a supercar? Honestly, my bet would be either after the Pair. I'm guessing. I think that would be the most strategic move, is going supercar after the Pair and taking that revenue and then putting it into the budget option. Who knows? Who knows? This could be 10 years into the future. Who knows? We'll just have to see how sales go and how profitable the company stays when it comes to the stock. And hello, about 3 months ago, Fisker was $6 to $7 billion. Today, Fisker is about $3.7 billion, which is about 48% down since the Ocean was revealed. Do you have any specific reasons which you would like to share with us? I'm thinking that they're asking as to what's the reason as to why the stock price is 48% down. Maybe because, the US is going through rising interest rates and rising inflation at the same time when it comes to the treasury. But it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the markets right now. When you look at Jerome Powell rising interest rates to offset the rising inflation rate, it's a lot and it's taking a toll on the market. But I wouldn't say it's anything with Fisker as to why it's a problem. Or maybe if you look abroad across the market is really being hammered right now. All markets, real estate markets, stock markets, crypto markets. It's a lot. I wouldn't say that it's not anything that Henry answer. And if he does, he's just gonna go straight back to what what I said or anything similarly that's going on in the markets. All right, what challenges should be expected in the coming months? Challenges. I don't really think that there's any challenges. Like, I'm hoping that things get better. Right now, things look like they're tightening back up when it comes to Corona. What's the latest? The Omicron variant, or is it a Delta variant? I don't know which one it is now. I'm losing track. But whichever one of the variants, I think that played a part into the markets crashing earlier this year, and seeing that a lot of stuff is reliant on China when it comes to semiconductors. If China shuts down again, that's a big L for a lot of things, not just for Fisker. Like, if Fisker has to wait even longer in chips, like let's say that we're finished with production for like the exterior of the vehicle, train and everything, but we have to wait for chips, like that's gonna be a big setback. And I'm hoping that that's not the reality. With the shortage of chips, are you revising the ETA and lowering the unit availability for sale in 2022 to 2023? How much reserve capital do you have? Stuff is going to be pushed back a little into 2023. I wouldn't see a lot being ramped up into 2023. Maybe the models, the lower models, are definitely going to be pushed back, but the ocean ones, I think that those are ahead of schedule. The extreme, I think that the first couple ones are going to be on time, and then everything else is going to be pushed back. Like, if you have one reserved like right now, or even later last year, I think that you're going to get pushed back in sometime into 2023, maybe in mid 2023, and then everything else is going to be falling around 20 fall, if not winter 2023, and then going into 2024. I think that if I put in my reservation now, which is February 2022, I think that I'm gonna be getting mine towards the end of 2023, if not 2024. I really don't care. I really don't care, to be honest, but that's honestly what I'm expecting. I'm not dying for it to be like, okay, I want one of them. I'd like to see a couple reviews before I definitely get mine. Maybe I'll change my mind or whatever. But 2020, the end of 2023 towards 2024, yeah, that would be nice, because then we definitely have a look on the pair, so I could decide as to whether or not I want to go through with my reservation for the ocean or go with the pair. So we'll see. It's pretty much a waiting game. I'd like to see how much capital they have on hand, or how much cash flow they have. I definitely like to know that. I don't where can I see their balance sheet is what I'm looking for. Is Fixer flexible leasing and mileage allowance a novelty, or is it here to stay? Also, is Fisker looking to go into the rideshare market, such as Uber, and with these mileage and lease offers? I'm kind of trying to decode this as to if they mean that they're gonna sell specific vehicles that go into a ride sharing division. Like, okay, let's say that we're gonna do a ride share division of the company, like it's gonna be like Uber, or if they would do like some special contracts for people that wanted to do ride sharing, but they on the leasing agreement, but because they're with this ride sharing agreement, they have it offsets the amount of miles that they're allowed. So maybe if they're doing a Uber like leasing deal to do ride sharing with, and exclude those miles that they've used to do a ride sharing with, I think that would be a terrific idea, if you guys are understanding what I'm saying. So take the car, the person doesn't own the car outright. They use the car as to do ride sharing, and then Fisker takes a bigger cut because they don't own the car outright. Fisker takes a bigger cut of whatever fee that Uber would take from their drivers, and then that offsets the price of whatever the driver is using for the car. So it would kind of be like that's another way of getting revenue, and the driver wouldn't have to worry about going over his mileage whenever it comes to his lease. At the end of the day, whenever he personally uses the vehicle, that's the amount of mileage that he's using, and then whenever he uses the vehicle for the rideshare, it would be like a specific number, or maybe Fisker could reduce that number, or Fisker could take that number off of what the driver has for their mileage allowance. Sounds like a pretty good idea. How many vehicles do you anticipate on delivering every quarter for the next 4 quarters? That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm saying just watch the company, how it operates for the next 4 quarters. Well, he's a little bit shorter than me. I would say next 8 quarters, next 2 years. But next 4 quarters is pretty good. You still have to watch the next 4 quarters anyways. But I'll definitely be interested in seeing how many they deliver. I think Tesla, how many does Tesla deliver every quarter? Okay, so as of last year in 2021, Tesla delivered 936,000 vehicles, coming from a 4,000 vehicle delivery in 2020, which is pretty crazy. That's over a 86% increase in vehicle deliveries. So I don't know how many vehicles Fisker is gonna deliver, but they have a very wide margin to catch up to. Very wide. I don't even think that they have the production scale to even ramp up to what Tesla has, and Tesla hasn't even finished building their gigafactory. So it's just crazy as to what they're doing now. So you can only imagine what they'll be doing when they finish their gigafactories. So this is a question that I definitely like to hear him ask. Are we keeping our promise? Start at $37,499 for the base Ocean Sport trim. Oh, from what I've seen, yeah. Maybe other reservists when they come in, people that are in 2023, maybe they'll have a little bit of a price hike, because even Tesla has been raising the price of their vehicles. But that's a vehicle that's already been out at market. This is a vehicle that's yet to be delivered. So I don't know how customers would feel about a price hike on something that's not actually out into the world yet. That'd be like inflation on vaporware, which is crazy. Like Fisker is really out there, you know, like trying to make the world a better place. So I guess that's one thing that you could say. But in terms of technology, or you know, like being innovative, even the solar roof, that's a pretty big novelty. So I don't really know what you could say like in terms of technology, like what they're really doing that's different from their competitors. So I don't know. If Henrik has asked that question, I'd be really interested to see how he answers it. What will be the lease option on the other upgraded vehicles? $389 per month for the base model is fine, but how about the rest? That's a pretty good question. Almost $400 is pretty good. Pretty good for that base model. I think that I probably might end up leasing mines. I want some more information on the leasing agreement, like if you can buy it out at the end of your term. So that's what I'm waiting for. I haven't really figured out like if it's gonna be a straight buyout for me, or if it's gonna be a lease. I think I'd much rather lease it than to buy it out and be stuck with it. Because to be stuck with a new entry level EV that doesn't really have a lot of infrastructure as to what's going to happen when it comes to servicing or even recalls, like Lord forbid recalls, which happens a lot in the automotive industry. But I'm hoping that that doesn't happen when it comes to these cars. I'm hoping that Fisker really has their stuff nailed down when it comes to the quality control. What are some logistical delays that might be expected when transporting and delivering vehicles internationally? Is there any way the delays in delivering internationally, seeing the shipping supply constraints that are going on right now, if it continues, or if we go into another shutdown, if things really get crazy again this summer, then I don't see any way that this could be avoided unless Fisker buys like a whole port or a whole shipping company. Because even if you buy a whole ship, once you get to the port, there are still ships that are being backed up on the port, and still containers that are at port for months that haven't moved, that need to be moved. So even if the cars get there, getting them out of the port could be a huge problem. So let's hope that things don't shut down again. What progress is being made on the fleet purchase agreement with the rental car company? Are we trying to do something like Tesla and Hertz? I kind of find it hard for companies to really give us that go and do a partnership when it comes to, you know, like rental agreements. So doing like a whole fleet and companies agreeing with us to say that okay, we want like a whole bunch of vehicles and we pay in advance for it, because I think that Hertz also paid Tesla in advance for like a whole bunch of vehicles. I don't remember the exact price or whatever the amount was for that deal. Being that we haven't been in the sector or the industry that long, I don't think that companies would take a bet on us like that unless we really prove ourselves. Are autonomous vehicles part of your near future plans? AV seems to be where some, if not most, electric vehicle manufacturers are headed. Yeah, it's definitely in Fisker's deck of cards. It's just a matter of getting the technology down pat. I think that they have a lot of in-house people working on the AI and the radar technology. I think that the radar technology is being adapted from some other company. I don't remember exactly the company's name, but it's definitely in the cards. Like I would say that whenever Tesla gets its act together, maybe we'll get our act together maybe like 2 3 years down the line. But I don't think that it's in the near future plans. I'll be very surprised. Like if Fisker could get their self-driving technology down pat before Tesla, that would just be crazy. That would just send their stock price through the roof. Hyundai and Kia have just set a high bar in this segment. What is Fisker doing to compete? Are new and cutting edge battery solutions being considered? It would be nice to see Fisker lead the way on range and efficiency. It would definitely be in like the revisions of the car, in the what they call them, like the facelifts of the cars or the refreshes of the cars, which I would say I would probably say like maybe a refresh would be due for this car maybe in like I would say 2024, 2025, but then they're starting production of the pair in 2024. So I'd say maybe like 2025 it would start getting dated and maybe the battery technology will be better. But I don't think that they will be leading in the technology when it comes to battery and efficiency and range. I don't really think that they'll be leading. I think that at most they'll be like okay, if not great. I don't think that they'll be elite. I don't think that they'll be like, wow, this Fisker has the best range. Because I think that Tesla has this new battery that's coming out and it's just gonna be crazy. So I don't know. It's pretty much always a catch-up game to Tesla at this point. Like they've been in the game so long. They have the first gen advantage when it comes to the industry, seeing that they've been the industry leaders for so long. So everybody just catching up. I think that if anyone can catch them up, it would be Toyota. And Toyota's been working on their battery for technology since like 2000 and since however long they had the Prius. I think that they have the Prius since like the 90s, if not the 80s. What's the company's goal for 2022 and beyond to increase production and increase share prices? As a shareholder, the share has dropped from its high. Yes, definitely has. I mean, that's the market. You know, that's the market. We've been riding on all-time highs in a lot of markets, in crypto markets, in real estate markets, and you know, things are cooling down now. I don't know if I would say that the bubble has popped when it comes to the bubble, the real estate bubble. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess just fulfilling reservations would be their biggest goal. I don't know about increase in share price. I think that whenever they increase production, like Tesla is really killing it, like almost 1 million vehicles this year. I mean, last year. It's really crazy. I don't even think that I'll be surprised if Fisker did 50,000 vehicles next year. I'll be really surprised. I really want to know what's the demand in terms of reservations to see what's the demand. Because if they have like about 300,000 reservations and they only did like 50 vehicles in terms of production, it would be really bad for their underlying stock price. I think that the stock price would fall so bad. A big selling point for the Ocean is the solar panel. Not only the Extreme will have it. Can the option be offered on the other models? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think so. If they were going to do that, they would have within the reservation configurator for the Ocean. I don't know. I mean, it's not really even a big deal to me. You can still get the retractable roof. So that's the best part for me when you do the California mode. You know, all the windows down, the roof is open up top. But the only thing that really bothers me is that you don't have the lane change assist. I guess that kind of makes it really feel like as if you have even a little bit of semi-autonomous driving, but no, it's kind of like a give and take thing. I'm not gonna spit out $70,000 for the Extreme. That's just crazy. Shout outs to the people that are really going first into Fisker, but not me. I'll rather watch and see how it pans out and settle with my Ultra. Since this will be the first version of a new product, will free repairs or servicing be included with the Ocean with regard to partnerships around vehicle service? I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking that they'll do a warranty on the battery and then maybe everything else is maybe like 100,000-mile warranty like other automobile manufacturers. Maybe like 100,000-mile warranty on the motors and then maybe like a 10-year warranty. The least I would say is a 10-year warranty on the batteries. Fisker, love what you got going on. Keep it up. Can't wait to see an Ocean on the North Coast. When will the Ocean drive itself? What will make the Ocean next gen of Fisker EVs stand out against the competition in the next 3, 5, and 10 years? I mean, from what they put out, not really much. Maybe they'll put out like some type of software update that will make it pretty distinguishable from other EVs in the segment, but there's not really a lot. There's not really a lot that you could do with EVs right now, other than, you know, like doing a big update in terms of range and efficiency. I don't really see them doing that with their battery technology. While the styling of the Fisker Ocean is stunning, what can shareholders look forward to as the focus of the company vision of sustainable reliance? What can shareholders look forward to as the focus of the company's vision of sustainable relevance? I'm not really 100% sure. What Fisker is doing right now, I don't really see how environmentally sustainable comes to the reliance of its materials. They're using fishing nets. I don't know how many fishing nets they've sourced, or maybe them saying that it's made out of fishing nets is just maybe like of like the whole mass of the interior is only made of like 10% fishing nets. It's not gonna be like the whole interior, but maybe they've just, you know, like put a little bit of white light here and say like, okay, yeah, it's made from resource fishing nets. What causes Fisker to drop in the month of December, January, and February? There's any barrier that affect the growth of its stock? Jerome Paul. And that's all I'm gonna say. What current non-electric company would Fisker compare itself in terms of style, comfort, and performance? I'm seeing that we haven't really gotten a lot of detail with performance numbers, and we've just barely seen the interior. Would it be too much of a stretch to say BMW? The Ocean really reminds me of the X5. And then if the performance is there, I would say an X5M. We've yet to see. Is it true that Lucid bought an enormous amount to prepare for this? Did Fisker do similarly? Enormous amount of chips, enormous amount of semiconductors? Because I'm not really sure as to what enormous amount of what Lucid bought. Enormous amount of raw metals. While Lucid is currently fulfilling that this YouTuber, he got his Lucid and he's pretty much enjoying it. I'm not really sure as to what. Maybe you mean semiconductors, seeing that Lucid isn't really having that big of an issue filling its reservations. And I was kind of wondering as to how Lucid is getting all the reservations if it wasn't having any problems with shortage. But I guess they started their production a lot earlier than everybody else. Are there any plans for a solar run car? People have been trying to develop solar run cars for like the longest. Like they even have that competition in somewhere in Australia where they have a whole bunch of solar powered soapbox cars. And the only thing is that with these vehicles is that it takes a lot. You have to generate a lot of power to move these cars, and you just do that because it takes a while before you store it in the batteries. You store the energy from the panels to the batteries, and then you still have to drive that power back to the wheels. So just driving power, you need power to drive the power. So it's just a lot of, and then driving power causes power loss too. So just that alone, I don't really think that's feasible. Like whoever does that is gonna be like this generation's Einstein. Will we have a nice small sedan in the lineup in the future? Yeah, I think that's what the pair is. I think that's what the pair is. If not, then the entry level $15,000 vehicle. What services do you offer or incentives once you join the Fisker community after purchasing a car? Incentives, services. Oh, you mean incentives? Like, oh, some dealerships might say like, oh, you get a free oil change or you get free servicing for a whole year. Oh, that's pretty interesting. I'd like to know if there's any type of incentives at all. I kind of feel like from what they've been putting out, it's just like, oh, you're pretty much a fish, and when you buy the bait on the reel, and they get you in, and they look at you just to throw you back out to the wild. But that's pretty much it. Just take the hook out your mouth and throw you back out into the pond. Is the location of MFG, is the price competitive for the future models? What's the strategy of manufacturing location? I think that the strategy is just that maybe Fisker wants to appeal also to the European market a lot sooner. If they have most of the reservations in America, then they don't have to worry about the American market. So they don't have to place manufacturing the cars here in this market. So once they just ship them over, demand has already been filled. Then once they start on the European market, the need to fill that demand is even easier. Will Fisker continue to seek out being leaders in mile range? I would hope so. I would hope so. They don't really have a lot more going for them. I think that the Ultra has a range of 350 or 375. They don't really have a lot more going for them, so I would hope they stay a leader in that segment. Is Fisker open to buyout or merger? Also, what makes Fisker stand out apart from its competitors today? I don't know if Henrik would be open to a buyout, maybe a partnership, but I don't think that Henrik has a vendetta going in. I think that there's a fire underneath Henrik when it comes to this company. He's not gonna stop until it succeed in the way that he wants it to succeed. But seeing how his last project was kind of a dumpster fire, we really feel like or let that happen with this project. As a reservation holder, along with an update on delivery timeline, when do you anticipate providing details related to when I can make selections of the look and type of vehicle I can receive? Yeah, that's right. I would assume that as it gets closer to the shipping date or closer to the first delivery dates of the first models, I think that's when you could start expecting to select the look and type of vehicle that you want to receive. I was pretty much surprised that you couldn't do it with your reservations. I don't know why. I'm pretty much interested as to when that feature will come out. Can we talk about the process with Foxconn production facility and project pair reveal? Second Second, can we talk about any deals with charging stations in the US? Three, will there be any lease deals on the other versions beside the sport or for warranty or financing and leasing? Yeah, that would be nice to have some information when it comes to the warranty, especially the warranty on the leasing models of vehicles. Now that I think of it, it would be nice if Fisker had a specific Fisker branded charging location in just the metropolitan areas, and then you could share a charge network with everywhere else. Like, let's say that in terms of where you have your service station, it also doubles up as a charging station too. As a bankruptcy professional of 32 years and having worked on the big auto chapter 11s, what steps are you taking to ensure the success of the company, and does your business plan contain long-term innovation goals that will have an edge on the competition and in the market? Does Fisker plan to make any celebrity endorsements given the company's reluctant history in music, hip-hop slash rap? Are they talking about the Fisker Karma? I'm guessing it's the Fisker Karma that they're talking about. Was the Fisker Karma in a lot of music videos? I gotta check that out. I didn't know. I wonder which rapper. Let me see if I could guess. It'd be something that Ludacris, I think Ludacris or Snoop Dogg would endorse the Fisker Karma. Definitely, if you cut Snoop Dogg the right check, he'll endorse anything. Will Fisker always focus on budget-friendly cars, or will the team aim for luxury cars as well? I think you kind of have it backwards. The Ocean is supposed to be the luxury entry, and then they're gonna focus on budget-friendly models later on after the Ocean. So you kind of got it backwards. You kind of already answered your own question. With the solar roof option and 5G slash Starlink capabilities, how can we integrate mining functions, potentially paying back the owner over time, or possibly each Fisker unit can automatically generate its dividend for its loyal stockholders through said initial rigs? That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that the Fisker was gonna have any type of Starlink uplink. That's pretty crazy. If you could get Starlink speeds from your Fisker, would that some type of service that you would have, or would it be a Blue Link type of service, or like a XM radio type of service where you have it for like the first year or 2 years of owning a vehicle? That would be pretty awesome. So what you're trying to say is that the technology that's in the car to take it, but the computers that are in the car, I don't think that it will be really that powerful to mine anything, to offset. And even if you had like some kind of hive type of mining when it came to all of the cars being connected together and using the hash rate of all the computers in unison, I really don't understand like what hash rate would be. I don't know what type of computer is going into this car, how much the profitability would be in terms of hash rate when it comes to mining the Fisker Ocean. I don't even think that's a statement that I even thought I would be saying. Will be better your car than Tesla? Will your car be better than Tesla? Well, that's pretty much a subjective thing. I think people that like Tesla, they just like Teslas because, it's a Tesla. Just like how people like G-Wagons because it's a G-Wagon, not necessarily because it's a Mercedes. It's just a G-Wagon. And then I think it's just going to be one of those things that you have people that don't necessarily want to enter the Tesla segment or be called a Tesla fanboy, so they want to go to other companies, and well, you look around and other companies don't really have anything that's that good or that's that cheap. The only thing I could say is like a little bit cheaper, a little bit affordable is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and even that starts at like, I think like maybe like $43,000 or something, and the charging network for that thing is just horrible. I think it's through ChargePoint, and the thing is just terrible, and the charging infrastructure really has to be something that you take in account when it comes to these vehicles. If you don't have a good charging infrastructure, you basically have like a huge lemon, and you don't want your car to leave you in the middle of nowhere, or you to be charging in the middle of nowhere for like 8 hours and get back on the road just to drive 6 hours and then be charging for 16 hours. It just doesn't make sense. But that's a very subjective question. To me, I haven't seen the user interface when it comes to the infotainment on a car. That's a big deal for me. Yet to use the infotainment on a Tesla too, but I'm looking to get Fisker, not a Tesla. So if it's a deal breaker in the Ocean, it might push me towards Tesla. Just might. Is a Fisker Ocean gonna have a third row seat? Would you ever design a mid or full size SUV in the future? I mean, just like eventually, I think that Fisker would want to fill every segment possible that's there. I don't know about mid, since the Ocean is kind of like a mid SUV, or could you say it's a compact? I don't know. If it is say that it's a mid-size SUV, but I think that Fisker eventually would want to fill every segment that's there, because even now Tesla is almost in every segment, and they pretty much have like a lot of market dominance. I don't see why Fisker wouldn't go in and try and take some of that, along with other EV car makers that are trying to do that right now. Will there be a reservation tracker so people have a better idea of when they can expect their car? Yes. Oh my gosh. Not yes as in yes, there will be a reservation. I don't know anything. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy for that. So, but I would definitely hope that. I thought that there was already one in there. I don't know. I'm hoping that there would be one rather sooner than later, but maybe later this year we'll get it. I'm definitely hoping that I can get like a number with actual date that's on it. But maybe once the cars start actually going through the door, then we will start getting a narrowed down list as to when we're in line and stuff like that. Will the company ever collaborate with larger companies for manufacturing and technology growth? It's not unseen for car companies to share their technologies, but only unless it's mutually beneficial. So I don't know which company Fisker really has anything to offer for them to share their technology or even share their manufacturing capabilities with. I don't know. I don't think that Fisker really has anything that cutting edge, or they're leading the market with anything for leading car manufacturer to really come and take them under their wings and show them the way, just like how I think it was Ford that was trying to take Nikola under its wings, and that ended so terribly. If there was any that I would hope that would take them under their wings, it would probably be like, I'll say Toyota a lot for Fisker. Toyota or Subaru, since Toyota already has a close relationship when it comes to manufacturing certain specific vehicles and sharing certain technology and certain platforms with Subaru and Toyota, I'll say either one of them. So I'd say either one of them, either Subaru or Toyota. With Foxconn's questionable working conditions and reputation stained by suicide nets installed around their buildings, why would you decide to partner with them in building your car? Aren't you concerned with having them be such a fundamental part of your product? To me, it just seems like Foxconn is just one of the biggest leading manufacturers when it comes to semiconductors, or just when it comes to putting together supply chains, or as it's called, the production line. I think it's a pretty good thing, but you're talking about Foxconn in the Asian market. I think that's what you're thinking about. The Foxconn that their partnership with is going to be in America, and I'm not sure as to any Foxconn buildings in America having suicide nets. I think that's just more like an Asian thing, like them being so overworked and sleep deprived as to where they just run through the windows and jump out the windows and stuff like that. But I don't think that's an American problem. I do think it's a problem within Foxconn. I don't think that it's a problem within the American division that Foxconn is in. Fisker is working with. What does Fisker think about Foxconn's new car industry project? I think that Fisker thinks it's very lovely, especially since we're partnering with them. There's only one way to find out how it turns out. Will the lower trims get all-wheel drive as well? They most definitely will not. All-wheel drive call for additional motors cost additionally, so that will drive up the price. So no, I don't think that they'll have additional all-wheel drive on the lower trim of the Sport. I just don't think that's what they're gonna do. They added it to the front of the car. They did front-wheel drive instead of rear-wheel drive, because they know that, well, traditionally they say that front-wheel drive is traditionally better, since if you get stuck you can turn the wheels and get out better handling and stuff like that. But who knows? I don't really like front-wheel drive cars. I drive a front-wheel drive Honda Accord. It gets the job done. It gets the job done. But if I had to choose, I would do rear-wheel drive, because I'm just a car guy. Hello. NFT related question. A few weeks back, Fisker dropped some NFTs. I was very much interested to buy some, but when I tried to buy some, it wouldn't let me because I am in New York. So am I, buddy. So am I. How would you explain these not equal investment opportunities? I mean, it's not Fisker's fault, man. It's not Fisker's fault. New York, California, one of the two main ones. It's just a whole bunch of regulations, or lack thereof regulations, and seeing that we're pretty high tax states, and they don't want having any fun. So that's one reason. I was trying to get it too. Still haven't. Hopefully we will before they get doled out and marked up exponentially. All right, everybody, I would just like to thank you for sitting through the entire video, going through me answering some of the questions from you guys, Fisker investors. So I hope to catch you guys in the next one. See you later.